Hello, and welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to show you how you can create shields in Illustrator, what shields are, and how you can do some stroke effects to your text, similar to what they use in packaging. In order to create a shield, which is a shape, sometimes it's a specific shape like a circle or a square, but sometimes they can be abstract shapes as well. Typically, they take on the shapes of the letters themselves. We use shields in a lot of packaging design and sometimes in logo designs to create separation of the text so it can be read easily off of a background. To do this, you have to first create your text to outlines. Select your text, and you go to Type, and you create outlines, or Command-Shift-O. And now it's a graphic. It also helps to use layers when you're doing these kind of stroke effects as well. First, I'm going to copy this. Then I'm going to create a layer above it that I'm going to use in a second. With my text selected, I'm going to now put a stroke around it. Now, this can work with any color, and I'll show you how you can change your colors and work this in a lot of different ways. But for now, I'm going to set the stroke to black as well. I need to have the stroke palette open, and if you open your stroke palette up and all you see is this, you need to turn the options on for this to work. So you go up into the upper right hand corner, show options, so that you can see all the options available for setting a stroke. Right now, it's a 1-point stroke, and it has basically a square stroke around it. I'm going to set it to round. I'm also going to set the stroke to the outside of the letter. So that way, when I increase its size, it goes to the outside. And this is basically the shield that we're creating. But to get that effect, I'm going to go on another layer above it. I'm going to go to Edit, and it's very important, Paste in Place, not just paste. Paste in place will put what you just copied in the exact same spot that it was before. I'm going to change this color to white so that you can see it. Sometimes this effect is referred to as beveling, but it's not really a true bevel, as in it doesn't show a highlight onto our shield or onto our letters. But this is how we can create a shield in Illustrator, and we can do these stroke effects where it's basically text with a stroke on it that is underneath text that doesn't have a stroke on it. I could take this concept further if I wanted, and let's add a white stroke on this text. Again, I'm going to set it to round so it doesn't create any awkward sharp points, and I'll show you what that looks like too. I'm going to set it to white, and I'm going to increase its size as well, but not so big that it covers my initial shield. I'm going to create another layer above it, and I'm going to paste it in place again. And you can see how you can create a double stroke effect, so it looks like there's a shield behind it and then there's another text on top. Let's just change this to a blue. And you probably have seen this kind of effect a lot of times on packaging, in particular consumable packaging, meaning potato chips, cookies, cereals, and stuff like that. It's a common trick that has been used since Illustrator's been around. If you want to make this bigger, though, You can scale it by simply selecting everything and scaling it. But sometimes, and I'm sure you may have encountered it, you've had an object that had a stroke around it, and when you went to scale it, the stroke didn't scale with it. If you run into that issue, if you just go over to your toolbox and double click the scale tool, you want to make sure under the options that you have scale, stroke, and effects. That will make sure that when you scale anything that has a stroke around it, that the stroke scales proportionately as you change its size. Some fonts you have to be a little careful of when you try this stroking effect. Script fonts, for one. Let's zoom in so you can see. But you can see in a script font how they all have these little tails that go in to the next letter. Well, if I start to stroke or put a stroke around this, we'll set it to the outside. We'll set it to round 2. And let's set it to a red so that we can see it. You can see how the stroke cuts into the letter. And you may not want this effect. If that's the case, then there's a simple thing that you can do. Let's take the stroke off of it for a second. And I'm going to copy this. And you can see as I've selected everything, you can see where the letters cross over. So anytime I set a stroke around this, it's going to go around the letter that's in front. To fix this, I've copied my original letters, and then I'm going to go to the Pathfinder tool, and I'm going to select the first option, which is Unite. And see how it's now made it one big shape that doesn't cross over into one another. So now when I put a stroke around it, it doesn't cross over. Let's go ahead and make this stroke black. Then I'll create a layer above it, edit, paste in place. And you can see that uniting feature, if I don't unite them, it's going to always give me that little break in between script letters. And I can't stress enough that this is only what's really like with script letters. So I have to unite the shapes so that they become one shape, and that's what gets rid of that broken line. And this is how we do stroke effects and shields in Illustrator.